For the first half of your life, you do everything you're supposed to do. You climb the ladder, check all the boxes, and build a life that looks pretty darn perfect on the outside.
But inside?
There's a quiet, nagging feeling, a low hum of dissonance just beneath the surface. You find yourself staring out the window, wondering, wait, is this it? You feel like you've spent a lifetime becoming someone you're not. Well, this is the story of why that was just the prequel, and how your real, authentic life begins right after the chase ends. Let's be honest about what the first few decades of adult life are. The Great Accumulation. It's a time for building, gathering, and expanding. We're handed a blueprint when we're young, by our parents, our schools, and our culture. And the instructions are crystal clear. Get good grades, get into a good college, get a good degree, get a good job, find a partner, buy a house, get promoted, save for retirement. Check, check, and check. And so we build. We spend our 20s, 30s, and 40s with our heads down, dutifully following the plan. This is what the psychoanalyst Carl Jung pointed to as the first half of life. It's all about establishing our identity in the world, building our ego. The ego is the project manager of this whole construction site. It's the part of us that needs to prove its worth and make its mark. It thrives on external validation and measures success by the height of the building and the view from the top. Now, this isn't a bad thing, it's a necessary stage. We need a strong ego to function. We have to build careers, families, and find our place in society. We have to navigate the whirlwind of what's often called the career and care crunch years. We're raising kids, caring for aging parents, and trying to hit our professional stride, all at once. Life becomes a relentless juggling act. The driving force behind this whole project is a hidden assumption that happiness is waiting at the end of the checklist. We believe that then, once we get the promotion, pay off the mortgage, get the kids through college, then we'll finally feel at peace. So we keep climbing, chasing the next rung, convinced it holds the key. We are perpetually waiting for the next achievement. Our whole society is designed to keep us on this treadmill. The corporate ladder is a brilliant invention for channeling human energy. Consumer culture whispers that the life we have isn't quite good enough, but the next purchase will fix it. We are conditioned to look outside ourselves for a sense of worth. It's as if our brains get wired for this chase. When our value is tied to what we achieve, our reward circuits every success gives us a little hit of dopamine, which feels good, but it fades, leaving us needing another fix. This creates a cycle. Chase, succeed, feel a brief moment of validation, feel the emptiness creep back in, and then chase again. Our nervous system gets locked in a low-grade state of fight or flight because it has learned a dangerous equation. I have to prove my worth to feel safe.
And so, for decades, we build a persona that is successful, competent, and has it all together.
We build a fortress of achievements, hoping it will protect us from the anxieties that whisper to us in the middle of the night. But in the process, the connection to our inner world, to our own authentic desires, can get lost. The shoulds become so loud they drown out the quiet voice of the soul. We become strangers to ourselves, living in a house we built, but that doesn't quite feel like home. And we keep building, because stopping would mean facing the terrifying question underneath it all. If I am not my achievements, who am I? This is the prequel. It's necessary, it's challenging, and it teaches us invaluable lessons. But it is not the whole story. It's just the setup for the moment the script runs out, the checklist is done, and we're left. So, if the first 50 years were the prequel, what does the main story look like? It doesn't start with a new set of blueprints. It starts with excavation, listening, and letting go. It's an inward journey, guided by a few profound shifts in perspective. This is the work of moving from a life of doing to a life of being. For decades, success was a number. Your salary, your job title, your net worth. It was a scorecard that was easy for others to read. But in this new chapter, that language starts to feel meaningless. The first big shift is realizing the old metrics are bankrupt. True success, you begin to discover, isn't about what you have, but how you feel.
It's about alignment.
It's the feeling of your inner life and your outer life finally singing in harmony. It's a shift from asking, "What can I get?" to asking, "What feels true?" This might look like downsizing, but it's really right-sizing. It could mean leaving a high-stress corporate job for one that pays less, but fills you with purpose. It might mean selling the big family house that feels empty and moving somewhere smaller, not because you have to, but because the ocean is where you feel most alive.
It's finding more value in crafting a wooden table with your own hands than in the number on your annual bonus.
It's letting go of the need for your life to look impressive and focusing on making it feel authentic. This is terrifying for the ego, but it's total liberation for the soul. In the first half of life, time is an adversary.
It's a scarce resource to be managed and optimized.
Our calendars are packed, our days are scheduled, and we're always multitasking, trying to squeeze every drop of productivity out of every moment. We're so focused on the future that the present becomes little more than a stepping stone. The second great shift is a revolution in your relationship with time. You stop trying to manage time and start learning to inhabit it. You realize the relentless pursuit of productivity was just another way to avoid the discomfort of being still. This shift is about embracing patience. It's the joy of an unhurried cup of coffee, the pleasure of taking up a hobby for no other reason than the joy of the process itself. You start to consciously build pockets of stillness into your day, a walk in nature without your phone, maybe a meditation practice. At first, this stillness can feel incredibly uncomfortable. But if you stick with it, you begin to hear that quiet inner voice again. You learn that your worth is not tied to your output. You give yourself permission to rest without guilt. Your nervous system finally gets the memo that it can relax. The first half of life is often a process of curation. We build a persona, a carefully selected version of ourselves that we present to the world. We highlight our strengths, hide our weaknesses, and spend an enormous amount of energy maintaining this polished facade. The third great shift is the move from curation to integration. It's about becoming whole, by embracing all the parts of yourself, even the ones you don't like. This is what some call shadow work, inspired by Jung's ideas. It's the courageous act of looking at the parts of yourself you've rejected and asking what they have to teach you. Maybe the anger you've suppressed is a sign that your boundaries have been violated. Maybe the fear you've been running from is pointing you toward your greatest potential for growth.
This is the point where authenticity becomes more important than approval.
You stop asking, "What do they want me to be?" and start declaring, "This is who I am." And it's incredibly freeing. You no longer have to waste energy pretending. Your connections become deeper because they're based on truth, not pretense. You're finally creating a life where you can show up, flaws and all, and know that you are enough.
The prequel is about the self, your career, your security.
The main story is about something larger. The final, and perhaps most profound, shift is moving from personal achievement to contribution and legacy. This is what psychologist Erik Erikson called generativity, a key task of middle adulthood. It's the natural evolution from "what can I gain" to "what can I give?"
You've spent decades accumulating knowledge, skills, and hard-won wisdom.
Now, you feel an instinctual pull to share it. You shift from being a player on the field to a coach on the sidelines. The satisfaction comes not from scoring your own goals, but from helping someone else score theirs. This might mean mentoring a younger person, volunteering in your community, or simply sharing your story. You begin to see your struggles not as blemishes, but as the raw material for the wisdom you now have to offer. The difficult boss taught you resilience. The failed business taught you humility. The heartbreak taught you compassion.
Nothing was wasted.
Your focus shifts from building a life to building a legacy, one small, meaningful act of service at a time. So, what does it feel like on the other side of these shifts? The first thing you notice is a sense of peace. The constant, low-grade anxiety that was the soundtrack to your first half of life finally begins to fade. That relentless inner critic gets a whole lot quieter. You're no longer at war with yourself.
This isn't just wishful thinking. Researchers have identified a fascinating pattern called the U-curve of happiness.
As novels. For many people, after a dip in midlife, overall life satisfaction, well-being, and happiness is steady.
Studies suggest that on average, feelings of stress, worry, and anger all tend to decrease after 50. For many, life actually does get better. You feel a new kind of freedom. Freedom from the weight of other people's expectations.
Freedom from needing to prove anything.
You realize you are not fading, you are focusing. You are distilling your life down to its most essential, most joyful parts. Your days are no longer defined by a frantic rush, but by a sense of purpose that comes from within. You might still work, but you work differently, choosing projects that align with your values. Your relationships become richer because you're finally showing up as your true self. This new life isn't a permanent state of bliss.
Challenges and sorrows will still come. Life is still life.
The difference is that now you have a deep reservoir of wisdom to meet them. You have the perspective to know that this, too, shall pass. Most importantly, you come to a profound realization. The first half wasn't a mistake.
It was the necessary prequel.
You had to build the ego before you could learn to transcend it. You had to chase external success to discover its ultimate emptiness. You had to live by everyone else's rules to find the courage to finally write your own.
The struggles, the heartbreaks, the failures, they were all part of the curriculum that forged your soul.
This isn't an ending.
This is the great beginning.
It's not about becoming someone new. It's about finally coming home to yourself.
This journey is deeply personal, but it's also universal.
We find so much strength in each other's stories. So I want to ask you, and please share it in the comments below, what is one thing you feel is waiting for you in your second act? It could be a passion to rediscover, a place to explore, or just a way of being you want to cultivate. Sharing it is the first step toward making it real. There's a myth in our culture that life is a long, slow decline from a youthful peak. We are taught to fear aging as a loss of vitality and relevance. But that narrative is wrong. It mistakes the end of the prequel for the end of the story. You don't spend 50 years climbing a mountain only to fall off the other side. You spend 50 years climbing the mountain so you can finally see the whole, breathtaking view. You learn that your value isn't in the climb, but in the perspective you gain from the summit. The first part of your life was the research phase. You were gathering data, learning skills, building a foundation.
Now, that phase is over.
The construction is complete.
You finally get to live in the house you've built, and more importantly, you get to redecorate it any way you damn well please.
You get to decide what matters.
Your story isn't over.
The best chapter, the real story, is the one you get to write for yourself, starting now.